Shaich is on the phone with us. Ron, welcome to KMOX.
Hey, good to speak to you. How you doing today?
Doing great. It's a busy day. Are you out there doing a little shopping?
I am wandering around Panera's bread company cafes today. So that, to me, is a great way to spend the day.
Nothing better than that. I am fascinated by this idea. Your Panera Cares Foundation has opened up this week a restaurant in Dearborn, Michigan, very much like one right here in Clayton, Missouri. What's the concept?
It's the same thing that all of our folks at home have experienced in Clayton. Basically, what we're saying to people is we are deeply involved in our communities. That's how Panera, that's how the bread companies had such great success. And we want to find a way to contribute back to those communities. We want to do it with more than the $100 million in product donations we give a year. We want to put our bodies on the line. And we decided to open a cafe in which there are no set prices. We're doing that so we give people the opportunity who don't have the resources to normally visit a bread company cafe to come in and have the opportunity to avail themselves of the experiences. On the other hand, those people that maybe have had good fortune this year, those people that have the resources, we say to them, come on in and leave us the suggested retailer a little bit more. Bottom line, it's a cafe of shared responsibility. It's a cafe in which Panera has given the physical cafe to the community, and if the community is willing to step up and take care of each other, then we've got something there. The other thing that's exciting back in Clayton, back in St. Louis, is we're now we've had 8 weeks in which we've actually had revenues over our costs, over our expenses, and we're now beginning to do programming. What we'd like to do is work with groups like Covenant House and a number of other organizations, and actually take some of these young people that have been have been on the streets and have been brought in off the streets and been put into care. As they return to the mainstream, they need as much life skills as they need job skills, and we're trying to partner to create that, given we have 3,000 jobs here in St. Louis for folks. And most importantly, what we're trying to do is make a difference in the communities, frankly, the spirit of Thanksgiving and the spirit of the bread company all year round.
Yeah, a really phenomenal concept. You know, I'm aware of private charities that have opened restaurants and so forth, one facility where they use it for job training and to feed the community and so forth. But for a large corporation like Panera to do this, it really is unique.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been done. We know of nobody else that's done it. Part of it for us was a test of humanity. If we gave the cafe to the community, and obviously we needed people who could afford it and support it, sustain it, shall we say, as well as those that could benefit from it. But if we gave it to the community, would the community step up and do it? And it may be a St. Louis thing, but boy, people in Clayton have certainly stepped up. I would tell you that 20% of the folks that walk in every day leave us a little bit more than suggested retail. 65% leave the suggested retail, and 10 or 15% find that they're in need and take advantage of the program. But the bottom line is we're now in a position, because this isn't a nonprofit foundation, nobody's making any money on this. We're now in a position to have a little bit of excess revenue and to begin to use that for the kind of direct program we like. And the exciting part here, and I want to say this to our friends at home in St. Louis, the exciting part here is that much as the bread company began in Kirkwood and has now become a national phenomenon in 44 states around the country, 1,500 bakery cafes, much as that has happened, we started with our first, bread company Cares in Clayton, and we've been able to take it to the rest of the country. We are opening in, as you've heard, we opened in Dearborn last weekend, in Detroit, Michigan, a market very similar to Clayton, and then we're going to open in January out in Portland, Oregon. So we're excited about the opportunities to make a difference in a whole bunch of communities around America.
Yeah, it's clearly working, and the fact that you're able to look at a second and a third location, how big might this become for your company?
I don't know. We're going to take it step by step. This is complicated to do. It may just be that the people of St. Louis are just so generous. I don't know, but it requires the community to take it upon themselves and to take ownership of it, and it requires good people. I think the important thing that people got in our original cafe here in St. Louis is that it's about a hand up. It's not about a handout. And, when you realize that 1 in 4 American kids in the last year were suffering at some point with food instability, that is to say they didn't know where their next meal was coming from. When you get that kind of experience, and you get that kind of knowledge, you realize it's the middle class that's affecting. It's our neighbors. It's not. We're not going to cure poverty with this, and this is about taking care of each other, and that's the spirit in which we went into it, and that's the spirit in which people are responding to it.
Ron Shaich is the executive chairman of Panera Bread. What's the experience when somebody goes into that cafe in Clayton? They just pick up. How are they served? How do they make a donation?
Come on down. Come on down and see it. What you see when you walk in is you'll first be met by one of our greeters, and they'll explain it to you, because obviously if we've had thousands and most of us have had thousands of experiences in the bread company and all kinds of other restaurants, and people walk in and they look at a menu and they know what their prices are. That's not the way it works here. So we have a greeter that explains the system to you, explains this cafe is a cafe of shared responsibility. You then walk up and you'll order just as you would in any other bread company cafe, on the cafe side or the bakery side. After you order, they'll tell you what the suggested retail is, and then it's your choice. It's a donation box. You can put the money into the donation box. Nobody knows what you put in. We do that so that you have the dignity of privacy. Alternatively, you're welcome to use credit cards, and we'll take credit cards if that's what you like. But you tell us what you want to put on that card, and go sit down and enjoy your food. And the beauty of it is, everybody's together. You're not going to feel in the least bit uncomfortable in this cafe. It's the spirit of our community, which is, in the spirit of the bread company.
Well, it is quite an idea. It's on South Central Avenue in Clayton. They've opened up in Dearborn, Michigan. Soon coming to Portland, Oregon. It is the Panera Bread Cares, and we've got the big loaf on the phone with us. He's Ron Shaich, the executive chairman. How many turkey sandwiches do you sell on the day after Thanksgiving, Ron?
Oh my goodness! Turkey is our number one selling protein. So we're selling a ton of it every day, and I imagine even today people are out there eating turkey because it's their favorite thing to eat. And in fact, one of the things that we're trying, is actually a new turkey product, not in St. Louis, but up actually in Detroit, where we're actually literally serving the same turkey you'd get carved off the bone. Typically in our regular cafes, I think we're using smoked turkey.
Yeah.
But listen, today everybody's out.
Yep.
Everybody's out in communities across the country, and they're shopping. And the bread company's a great place to catch a break and have a smoothie or a bowl of the new chili, which with the cornbread, which I think is to die for personally, and recover from yesterday's dinner.
It was a big day. Ron Shaich, thanks so much for joining us. He's the executive chairman of Panera Bread and talking about their charitable enterprise. What a great idea in this holiday season.